Trump posts 10 words. He who saves his country does not violate any law. What does he mean by that statement? And why did it set the left in a meltdown? We know all they have remaining now is crybaby tactics and whining, right? He who saves his country does not violate any law. What's that in reference to? Why did it result in such a meltdown? Well, that's the story I'm going to bring you in just 1 minute. President Trump sparks liberal meltdown for sharing controversial quote. Trump wants to be a dictator, they scream. Of course they scream that. That's all they've been screaming. Yes, this is some weird blank. I don't know why I can't spit that sentence out. He's getting ready to do something really blanking illegal. Richie Torres, Donald Trump seems to believe he can do whatever he wishes in the name of saving the country because we voted him in to save the country. I know, it's a tough concept. Now you're going to call it a constitutional republic when all they ever talk about is democracy this and democracy that. But I guess when it suits your argument, now you'll flip in constitutional republic. It's amazing how they do this. The means matter more than the ends. It's an interesting statement in itself when the means of the prior administration were to hand away U.S. sovereignty and now we're trying to gain back U.S. sovereignty again. It's a nice wording Richie did here. The U.S. Constitution trumps the policy preferences of President Trump. Oh, I see what you did there. That was cute, Richie. Cute. Adam Schiff, spoken like a true dictator. He says the same thing over and over and over. He's been boiled down to these little talking points that is of no consequence to the U.S. voter anymore. People need to wake up. This is literally a quote attributed to Napoleon Bonaparte. Oh, here we go. Right before he orchestrated a coup, seized absolute power, and crowned himself emperor in defiance of democracy. You don't think Trump was trying to trip you all off, do you? You don't think he was just trying to upset everyone? Get the response now, was he? This isn't just history, it's a warning, and nor at your own peril. Ooh, that chilling response. So what does Trump do? He doubles down. Puts it on the White House page. He who saves his country does not violate any law. If he tries to play within the framework of the law, what does he get? He gets blocked immediately by judges like Amy Berman Jackson, who we've talked about. Hampton Dillinger was terminated, but she says you can't terminate him, and they usurp the power of the executive branch. But I guess that's supposed to be okay, right? Of course, this is what Donald J. Trump was referring to, because he knows everything he's doing, they're attempting to stop, but who and which judges are attempting to stop him, and why? Are they staying within the legal framework, legal authority? That's the overriding question, isn't it? So Trump triples down. He asks the Supreme Court. He wants the Supreme Court to let the firing of whistleblower agency head proceed. You see, it's all about the legal system. He's been embattled in lawfare now for 4, 5, 6 years? Never-ending lawfare. Actually, much longer than that, because they started the day he took his first term. And it continues through now, just on a different framework. Now they're just trying to go against everything the executive branch is trying to put down. They're just trying to cut wasteful spending. They're trying to get rid of dead weight. But they work against them. And there is no greater example than right here. You remember the judge I've covered for you, right? Federal Judge John McConnell. Now, if there was a conflict of interest and you stopped, President Trump freezes federal spending. And this judge says you can't do that. Well, then he better have a pretty clean record, right? He better have no conflict of interest whatsoever. In other words, from that federal spending, he should be receiving no dollars at all, right? Not quite. And it goes back to Trump's 10 words and why you put them out there. And that's the story we're going to continue with here in just a minute. Before I do, huge favor. I can't believe how many messages I got over the weekend. Justus, I didn't know you were broadcasting. Make sure your bell is checked all, so at least you're alerted to my upcoming broadcast. If you don't do that, you won't get it. And trust me, we're putting in more time now than ever. For those of you that have subscribed, thank you. Welcome to a portion of the Restricted Republic family, Lisa Haven's channel, of course, the primary on the YouTube platform. But and you have joined our membership platform here, thank you so much. You know I don't use advertisers or sponsors. Yes, YouTube does insert advertisements, but those are different than actually having a sponsor. I chose to do it that way, though, because I wanted to be beholden to no one but you, the audience. And that goes all the way forward to Restricted Republic, the platform Lisa Haven and I created to bring you the news unfiltered and uncensored every single day. And the exclusive content is like nothing you've heard before. 365 days a year, we are researching in one way, shape, or form and bringing you the news that matters. No commercials, no interruptions, beholden to no one but you, our audience, and I need your support. I need you to get to restrictedrepublic.com today. And in return, we give you more news, the news that truly matters. Look forward to having you here. But now let's get back to the story, because we got to talk about federal Judge McConnell a little bit deeper, don't we? Not about that his $700,000 of donations went to Democrat candidates and causes. No, we're going to skip by that. We're going to go to something a little bit more important. An NGO he's involved with that collects federal funding. The same judge who says you can't pause federal funding. He served on the board of directors for a multitude of years. There you go. As an officer, the Honorable Judge John J. McConnell, America First Legal, amazing job on this. As a matter of fact, he's appeared on IRS Form 990 every year since he took the federal bench in 2013. I wonder how much they were making from the federal government. They received $18.6 million from the government funding in 2023 alone. The same judge who says you can't pause federal funding. Government grants, $18,616,874, to be more specific. It's received over $128 million in government funding. So when Judge McConnell ruled against the Trump administration and required federal taxpayers to continue funding the state of Rhode Island, it seems that he also required continued funding for his own nonprofit, Crossroads Rhode Island. And as always, we bring you the receipts to show it. So what did Trump mean by those 10 words, huh? All starts to make sense. It's unfortunate that he has to fight these battles at home because there's bigger battles abroad now, isn't there? He has a few major conflicts to solve, doesn't he? It appears that meeting between Putin and him in Saudi Arabia is going to happen in February, in stunning setback for Ukraine and Europe, when Trump is simply trying to remove wasteful spending, right? Now Zelensky's not happy. He wanted him to meet with him first. I'm sorry. You gonna cry? I would do the same thing. Zelensky's going to dictate to me, the President of the United States of America, who I meet with first? Give me a break, man.
How did that sit with you?
No, I said that...
But first with Putin and then with you?
Oh, I'm not happy. Yes, but I think that more dangerous if first meeting will be with Putin and then with Ukraine. And there are things I shared with the President Trump, that first of all, we have to see common view. And I said also that at the table, we need Europe also. It's very important for us. We are Europe. We in Europe, and we see our future only in EU, like a member.
Because I really need to be a member, because if not, I'm going to get destroyed. And frankly, all I have left is begging and whining. Sounds like the left here, doesn't he now? Just everybody kind of fits into the same mold. What does Trump have to say about this?
Would you support Zelensky ceding territory or exchanging territory in any agreement to end the war?
Well, he's going to have to do what he has to do, but, you know, his poll numbers aren't particularly great, to put it mildly. He's got a country where, you know, it's been savaged and attacked, and he's got an army that's been very, very brave, actually, despite the fact that, you know, we've given him, in my opinion, $350 billion. That's what the real number is. You don't hear that number. And Europe has given, in my opinion, $100 billion. And they've done it in the form of a loan. And I have a Secretary of Treasury right now who's actually quite brave. He's over in Ukraine on a train. And there's a lot of things happening around that train that aren't so good. And he's going there to get a document done where we're going to be assured that we're going to, in some form, get this money back. Because
wow, what a novel concept. We're going to get the money back we gave you. 350 billion. EU's only contributed about 150 billion, and that's fair to us, the U.S. taxpayer?
Ukraine, though, you think you can get a deal? Do you keep
think so.
sending American weapons until you do?
No, what I'm saying is the following. They have tremendously valuable land in terms of rare earth, in terms of oil and gas, in terms of other things. I want to have our money secured because we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars. And, you know, they may make a deal, they may not make a deal, they may be Russian someday, or they may not be Russian someday, but we're going to have all this money in there, and I say, I want it back.
It's a fair statement, right? What's Zelensky say? Well, I don't know if I like the terms of your agreement. I don't know if I like this rare earth thing. We're going to give you a counter proposal. To counter propose, you have to be in a position of power. And if the U.S. was to just simply take our money and pull it away, your power would cease to exist. The EU is not going to fund you to the level the U.S. government has. And the weaponry you need to defend yourself will not come in the abundance it has from the United States. So your position of power is, in my humble opinion, none. You have no power. Without power, you have no authority. Without authority, well, frankly, you have nothing. Because you see how the other nations have contributed and what the U.S. has contributed.
Have you been given any assurances that Ukraine will have an equal seat at the negotiating table?
So I will never accept any decisions between the United States and Russia about Ukraine. Never. And our people, never. And our adults and children and everybody. It can't be so. This is the war in Ukraine against us, and it's our human losses. And we are thankful for all the support, unity between USA, in USA, around Ukraine support, bipartisan unity, bipartisan support. We're thankful for all of this, but there is no any leader in the world who can really make a deal with Putin without us about.
Don't know if I would be so sure about that. You see, without funding, you can't have defense. Without defense, you wouldn't have a country, so you probably want to negotiate with our commander-in-chief, President Donald J. Trump, and fairly quickly. I mean, you could try to act all tough on TV interviews, but your toughness is funded by the United States of America. Not a position I'd want to be in any way, shape, or form, ever. And U.S.-Russia talks are proceeding, no matter what you state, because trust me, the guy who's a lot tougher than you is Putin, and that is who Trump is taking head on. And trust me, Zelensky, those are not negotiations you want to be involved with, because they will result in nothing. The only one who stands any chance of saving your great nation is President Donald J. Trump, period. But now we're going to come back home real quick. Let's talk about gold, shall we? Fort Knox, legendary Fort Knox. What do you think the last time Fort Knox and its gold reserves have been audited? What if I told you 1974? Don't believe me? Believe the records. Report to Congress, Department of the Treasury. This is 1975, 1974 audit. Then we can go forward a little bit to 1978 audit. Then we could go forward a little bit further into 1981 audit. And within the 1985 audit, more specifically, it states, if you go down just a little bit, these figures include the initial 1974. You know, I should mark that for you just so you could see it a little bit easier. Sorry about that. I'm just not wanting to work right now. There we go. Right here. These figures include the initial 1974 Fort Knox audit results, which was conducted by the GAO and Treasury auditors. The problem is it's 2025 now. Fort Knox hasn't been audited since 1974. And now it's being called to task. Buy? It would be great if Elon Musk could take a look inside Fort Knox just to make sure the 4,580 tons of U.S. gold are still in there. Elon Musk comes back out and says surely it's reviewed at least every year. It's a lot of money and a lot of gold bars. You probably want to know where they're at, right? Rand Paul comes out and says, nope, hasn't been audited. Fort Knox in specific, since 1974. But you're going to go crazy over 10 words that Trump post on his social media account. Really? Where's my money? Where is our freaking money? Is what you should be concerned about. But you're concerned about losing jobs. You're concerned about stopping spending. When Fort Knox sits at the top of those reserves, does it 147 million ounces of gold that haven't been audited since 1974. Hell yeah. I'd kind of like to know what's in there. And if it's still there. And if it's not there, where the heck is it? Because you could try to distract when Vance goes out and says no room for firewalls in Munich, Germany, and you could say all the ludicrous statements you want to try to distract America from what's actually happening, which is transparency and accountability. Marco Rubio diffuses Margaret Brennan in this. I still can't believe she actually said this. The IQ level, lack of IQ, is staggering in this statement. Listen in here for a minute.
He was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it.
Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews.
You heard her correct, right? The Holocaust was a consequence of excessive free speech. Speechless? J.D. Vance was speechless. This is a crazy exchange. Does the media really think the Holocaust was caused by free speech zones? That's how desperate they are. Because they have no substance. Because the transparency is showing everything that has been told you has been a lie. It's all fiction. And all Trump's doing is giving you accountability and being fought in a court system. All goes back to what he posted on his social media, doesn't it? Because they're feeling the pain. They're feeling the pain, finally, of what each and every one of us Americans have felt for years now. 275,000 federal workers lost their jobs this week. I wonder how many millions of Americans lost their job. That's right. I showed you the statistics, right? All new jobs were from foreign-born citizens, not domestic. So you got to feel a little uncomfort now, aren't you? Your housing market in D.C. and the surrounding areas is crumbling. Months of supply is escalating. Home demand is plummeting. Just look at that map. Ooh, it's cold color, isn't it? Because when so many lose their jobs like so many Americans have, man, times get tough, don't they? A little harder to put food on the plate, isn't it? For years, we've been on this side of the spectrum. And now DC's feeling it. Initial unemployment claims skyrocketing. And the recession, the Washington, D.C. recession, is now beginning. The recession that we've all felt for years. Now those in D.C., well, it's starting to move up now, isn't it? Where will it end up? How high will this bar raise? We don't know yet. That's a big question, isn't it? But again, don't mean I don't want anybody to ever suffer financially. But if my tax dollars went into funding jobs that were only there to support government bloat, then so be it. Inflation stings most of you earn less than $300,000. How to deal with it? Bloomberg comes out. Take the bus. Don't buy in bulk. Try lentils instead of meat. Nobody said this would be fun, and it hasn't been fun for any of us for years now. But maybe Hakeem Jeffries, dollar store Obama. Maybe he's got some words of wisdom. Maybe he can fight back as Trump's popularity is escalating daily. Maybe he's got some words of advice for the Democrats. Maybe he can pull them out of the hole that they now find themselves in.
And 63% favor federal government's recognition of only two sexes. 60% favor deporting immigrants who entered the United States illegally. 60% favor expanding oil and gas production. 59% favor declaring an emergency at the southern border. Is there anything you are seeing that Trump is doing that you are in favor of, that you think is the right thing?
Are you waiting? Are you waiting for his words of wisdom? Here he comes. He's got his chance. He's got the stage. He's got the best. He could put out a strong message here. He can bring the Democrats back. But it is Hakeem Jeffries, so I really would not expect that.
Let me say, as it relates to all of those issues, we're just at the beginning.
As expected, nothing to offer. Nothing. Zero. They're clueless. They're so far back on their heels now, they can't even claw their way out. That was his words of wisdom to those statistics. Silence followed by nothing. That is the party, though, right? Of course, they're on top of it. U.S. senators, they're on top of it. The Democrat Party, they're sitting there, man. It takes some effing gall to have Vance lecturing Europe on free speech when at the exact same time the Trump regime is threatening Democrats back home with arrests if they even explain people's rights to them. He's talking about this post here. If you support border czar Tom Homan arresting AOC for giving illegal aliens instructions on how to avoid deportation, post a thumbs up in the comments. Make your voice heard. That is what he was commenting on. Laura Trump page. One problem with that, and the White House calls it out. You are a moron, Chris. It is obvious this page is not affiliated with President Trump, his family, or the administration. We do, however, support your right to make such a statement, no matter how imbecilic it makes you look. Desperation. Desperation. And this is what Democrat desperation looks like. They are clinging on to false facts now. Nothing to say, nothing to offer. And this man hasn't even come in yet. Former FBI officials Peter Strzok and Lisa Page have settled with the Justice Department over alleged privacy rights violations. They were given money by the U.S. government for violations to their privacy, the same ones that stalked and hunted Trump, right? The same ones now who are emptying out their X account. Peter Strzok, to be more particular. Trump's not going to become president, right? Right. No, he's not. We'll stop it, Lisa. You and I will stop it. Our extramarital affair will help stop it. Well, now he's emptying out his X page because the best is yet to come. I truly hope and believe that this will be the week that Cash is confirmed. And once he's confirmed, you think the reports are juicy now? Oh, you just wait, my friend. You stay here, and like I always promise you, I will bring you everything that's critical. So you have a few less sources you have to look at, and you can come here for everything that's going on. And trust me, the hours of research necessary to keep up with it is amazing. Because I love doing it, because I love having this much good news to report to you. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.